You're listening to CBC Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten, filling in for Janet Stewart. You're at 89.3 FM, 990 AM. Well, on our call-in today, we want to hear from you about cycling, and in particular, the Idaho stop. Because we're wondering, what do you think about cyclists rolling through stop signs? And maybe even do it yourself, or maybe you grind your teeth through the car window when you see it happen. Well, there's a rally in Winnipeg later this afternoon in support of changing traffic laws to allow cyclists to do a slow roll through stop signs. It's called the Idaho Stop, and it's named after the U.S. state Idaho, that implemented it more than 40 years ago. And the law lets cyclists slow down when they approach an intersection, but they can keep going without stopping if the coast is clear. Winnipeg's bike mayor, Patty Wiens, is here to answer your questions about the Idaho Stop and how it might work or not in the city. But first, here's what bike rally organizer Hillary Rosentreter said about laws requiring cyclists to come to a full stop.
The problem with this safety measure not being legal is that you're essentially criminalizing safety. The main reason why cyclists implement and use the Idaho Stop is to keep themselves safe, to clear the intersection, to avoid potential interactions with cars as much as possible.
And that's cycling advocate Hillary Rosentreter. And to get some background and expertise on the Idaho Stop and all things cycling, we welcome Winnipeg's bike mayor, Patty Wiens, to the studio. Hello.
Hello.
And we want you out there in Radioland to call in with your comments, opinions, close calls, stories around cycling, and how bikes should or should not behave at stop signs. Give us a call, 204-780-0893, or you can text at 204-588-7355. Okay, now, Patty, I explained it a bit in the intro, but can you describe what the Idaho Stop is and how it works?
So it's very important to make the distinction between rolling through a stop sign and what the Idaho Stop actually is, which is treating a stop sign as a yield, right? So when a car is at a yield, it should look both ways before proceeding. And that is what the Idaho Stop is for bikes, right? We have better sight lines when we approach a stop sign. And we're talking mostly about something like a four-way stop, right? Like I never blow through any stop signs at all because my life is precious to me. So when I'm approaching a four-way stop, I have a really good sight line. I look every way, and if there is no one stopped, then I proceed. And that is what the Idaho Stop is. And it's important to make that distinction because we don't want people thinking cyclists just want to roll through everything.
And it's not around red lights? Is it more stop signs?
So the Idaho law, the Idaho Stop says that you would treat stop signs as yields and red lights as stop signs.
Okay, so you would stop at a red light.
Absolutely.
And I suppose in the car traffic world, there aren't yield lanes at four-way stops because the traffic isn't as heavy as where there are yield lanes in heavier traffic areas.
Yet, if you watch some of the videos we caught, you would think it's a yield.
Is that right? Well, we have callers on the line, so let's talk to Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello?
Hello. What's your opinion about the Idaho Stop?
Yeah, hi. So I cycle to industrial areas all the time. I don't know if you can hear in the background behind me, like I tried to get behind trees and stuff, but there's a huge compressor making all sorts of racket back there. Sometimes you hear planes go over because I'm right beside the airport. But to get here, I have to go through many stop sign controlled intersections. So what I'll do with those, I'll describe it a little bit here. Idaho stops, as I practice them, help me to spend less time at intersections with large automobiles, much larger than me by an order of magnitude or so. But it isn't always appropriate. So I only consider it safe when all three of these little rules that I have for myself are.
Okay.
And that is, no one else is at the stop line.
Yeah.
I have right of way, so, that kind of follows on to it. Those are the first two. And then the third is, I see no one else trying to speed through. So that includes stuff like people that are, 50 yards away trying to just blast through the stop sign, because they're late and they have somewhere to be. That's
Sure.
obviously really important, right?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, there's lots of noise in the background. It's kind of hard to hear you, but we did catch the gist of your remarks, and we've got millions of people on the phone, luckily. So thanks, Cynthia, for calling. Oh, I think that Cynthia's being blown away by the engine noise there, and we're just going to go straight to another call, and we're going to see what Steve has to say. Hi, Steve.
Hi there.
Hi. What do you think about the Idaho stop? We just heard from Cynthia that she's in favor of it because of the way she gets around, and she has a few self-imposed rules about it. But this, of course, would change into a bylaw.
Yeah, I'd agree with everything the previous caller said, and for me, it's about this false equivalency between cars and people on bikes, and we're not the same. People on bikes can see unobstructed all around, and we're more aware of our surroundings. And when we're in an intersection, that's when we're at our most vulnerable. So it makes sense from a safety standpoint that we spend as little time in the intersection as possible.
Right.
So if it's clear, why not go ahead? It's not a free pass for cyclists to ignore the law. It's not about that. As Hillary Rosentreter said, it's about legislating safety.
Okay, great. Good point. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you, Patty, Steve seems to be in favor of it as well, but isn't this something that people are actually doing already?
Because we want to be safe, right? We know that this is our best chance at safety is to look around. There's no one around. I'm not going to slow down because that just puts me in peril. So yeah, people are doing that already. Absolutely.
Well, we have lots of callers on the line, so I think we will just soldier on here. And let me see now. Liz, hi.
Hi.
Have you got a comment for Patty?
I do. I think that rolling through or slowing down for cyclists at stop signs is ludicrous. I take the opposite view. I think it's unsafe. I think these bike advocates have way too much power, and it is a free pass. It's a pass so they don't have to stop. And not only am I a car driver, but I also am a cyclist. And sometimes if I don't see anyone, I glide through. But it's wrong. If they're going to use the streets like those of us who drive cars do, then they need to follow the law. I just think it just sounds dangerous to me, and I think it's crazy.
Thank you, Liz. What do you say to that, Patty?
Sounds like Liz does that once in a while too, so she sees the value of it once in a while.
Yeah, but it's still one of the things that I heard in an earlier discussion is that the idea is to slow down and go through it, 2 or 3K, but people tend to zip through or, sort of give people an inch, they'll take a mile kind of thing. And
like cars Sunday night on Portage Avenue, you mean?
No, but just like trying to get through that intersection at a good clip, and that increases the danger. Do you see that?
I think that for the most part, we need to make laws that protect people, that increase safety. So there's always going to be people who break the law, whether you drive or ride a bike, but we need to keep the safety of the more vulnerable road users as a primary goal here.
Well, let's go back to the lines and get some more comments on this. Hi, Liz. Or Linda, hi.
Hi.
What are your thoughts?
So I can see and I understand that this seems really counterintuitive to people who use the road. However, research has shown that this does decrease collisions at intersections for cyclists, and that's why it's legalized in the U.S. And even the federal transport department is trying to legalize it federally in the U.S. And to look back at this Highway Traffic Act, it so clearly only seems to apply to cars. And cars are in Manitoba, or drivers are considered almost the most important road user. And that is cyclists and pedestrians everywhere. So we're at the start of the mobility revolution. And we believe that the Highway Traffic Act needs to be safe to all road users. So that would mean implementing the Idaho stop and make streets safer for everybody.
Well, thank you very much, Linda, for calling in. Appreciate hearing your point of view.
You're welcome.
We've got lots of people on the line, and I think we'll just continue. We'll go to Brenda. Brenda, what are your thoughts? Hello, Brenda. Oh. No, I guess Brenda's not there. Give us a call. Maybe you're a cyclist. Maybe you're a motorist. Give us a call, 204-780-0893. Or if you want to text us, you can call 204-588-7355. I'm joined in studio today with Winnipeg's Bike Mayor, Patty Wiens, to hear your comments and answer your questions. Do give me a call. But let's return to the phone lines right now. Ross, what are your thoughts?
Hi, I'm against it myself. Before I lost my sight, I cycled all over the city and really enjoyed it. But I obeyed the laws. I thought a bicycle was the same as a motor car and had to follow the same laws. And now I see that many cyclists don't obey any laws. They have a law upon themselves. And I'm not sure if it's taught in schools as much as it used to be, but now that I'm vision impaired, I depend on everything to stop at a stop sign so I can cross safely. And if cyclists are coming up there and they're not planning on stopping, it puts me in danger. It's hard enough being vision impaired and getting across streets as it is, but to have this where everybody's just gliding through stops, and I realize they're supposed to look, but most times they don't.
Right.
They think they have the right of way many times. And there's some that do follow the rules, but many don't.
Yeah, good points there, Mark. I'll ask Patty to respond. Thank you.
Absolutely. Pedestrians are, vulnerable road users as well, right? And at some point, everybody is a pedestrian. You got to get off your car and walk too, even if you only drive and you don't ride a bike. Mm-hmm. And I understand Ross's concern. And I think that a law requires education as well. And cyclists should be educated that, when you see someone standing there, I'm guessing Ross will stop before he crosses too, because he is expecting that, he can cross. Mm-hmm. As cyclists are coming too and they see Ross standing there or any pedestrian, I know I stop. Mm-hmm. And it will continue to be the same, right? We're always going to expect people not to follow the law. Again, right. That's not just cyclists, that's everybody. Right? Mm-hmm. So we need better education, and we need better education in all manners of road behavior, not just cyclists, drivers as well. Everybody needs kind of a refresher in this day and age where cars are huge. Yeah. Tinted windows are so prevalent. When I am at an intersection, I'm always looking to see if a driver can see me. And I can't even see their face, even in the front sometimes. And that is terrifying. So we need a refresh on all road safety education.
And maybe mandatory bike bells. I just like the sound of them. Ding, ding.
I love my bike bell. I know. It's another point of contention, even within some of the cycling community. I am a big advocate for bells, absolutely.
Right. I'm just going to return to the phone lines. I have a lot of questions I want to ask you about the Idaho stop.
Everybody's calling.
It's wonderful to have people calling, sure. Corey, you're on the line. What do you have to add to this conversation? Oh, maybe Corey's not on the line ready to add to our conversation. Let's try yet another line. Brenda, are you there? No, Brenda's not there either. Well, then I'm going to ask the question that I wanted, which was this Idaho stop. How has it turned out for other regions? I mean, it's been in use in Idaho for 40 years, but it's been tried in other places with varying degrees of success, I think, or what's the word?
No, from what I saw today, Ann Carlson from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the acting administrator right now, is saying that it has been promoting safety and encouraging more people to bike and reducing cyclists' overall risks. And it has decreased vehicle and bicycle crashes in the United States. And our neighbors to the south just adopted that law. Minnesota has just made it law to implement the Idaho stop. And I know sometimes we want to be just like our neighbors, and let's hope that's one of the way we want to imitate.
Now, was it not implemented in BC?
I don't think so. But
Okay.
BC has a law where you have to, depending on the speed at which you're passing a cyclist, you have to give them a certain amount of space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's return to the phone lines. We'll go to Corey. Are you on line 5 there? Hello? No, Corey's still not there. I think we're having...
No, hi.
Oh, there he is.
There
Hi,
he is.
Corey.
Sorry about that. Cellular issues.
Oh, I thought you went out for a coffee or something. So
No, I wish. I'm a cyclist and a driver.
Okay.
And I just wanted to comment that, I think the Idaho stop, if it became a thing, it wouldn't be all that different from what we already see on Grosvenor and some of these other streets that have calming circles, with the four-way yields.
Mhm.
I think that cyclists can handle a yield. As mentioned by other callers, the sight lines are, better. And then it's just, spending less time in the intersection makes us all safer. And as a driver, personally, I don't want to be held up by a cyclist making a full stop and, having to, just wait there for the 3 or 4 seconds as dictated by the Highway Traffic Act. I just want to get on with my day. So I think it's a win-win for everybody and safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thanks, Corey. So tell me, how does Winnipeg's infrastructure compare to other places where the Idaho stop is being used? Because often we hear about we don't have as many designated bike lanes, but lots of four-way stops. So how would it work here?
I'm not sure about what the infrastructure is in places where the Idaho stop is implemented. I have to be honest with you, but I do know that our infrastructure is behind a lot of other places. I mean, North America in general is behind a lot of other places. We're currently even behind Edmonton, which is kind of interesting because Edmonton has decided to spend over $100 million in finishing their bike infrastructure on top of their road renewal commitment as well. So we're definitely behind.
Oh, but room for improvement always, right?
Absolutely.
Well, actually, when we were talking about this before the show, we got a couple of calls. Let's hear from somebody who called in earlier.
Hello, my name is Andrew Single. I wanted to comment on the Idaho stop thing that's going on. Just acknowledging that drivers are also not really stopping at stop signs, nor do cyclists. Cyclists will typically yield because it's a safer thing to do. The problem with the drivers, though, is that's actually not safer to do. The point of a stop is to be able to stop the forward motion so the driver has time to safely check for pedestrians, and that's not something they're really doing. They're slowing and checking for other cars. So if we can handle the stop signs on our roads the way they are right now, where neither drivers and cyclists are stopping, but the drivers are posing a danger to people, I think we can handle this legally being offered as an option for cyclists. Thank you.
Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, he's dead on. The other day I had an experience where I came to a four-way stop and was going to use it as a yield, but there was a car stop there, right? And the whole time he was looking at his cell phone and just kept rolling through, So I'm thinking, I'm thinking that he's seeing me and he's not, right? So implementing law is important everywhere.
It is. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Janet. I totally disagree with the Idaho stop. I'm a delivery driver in South Winnipeg, and let me tell you, half of the cyclists do not follow the laws as they should be. They build bike lanes for them. Half of them don't even use them. I'll give you an example of how dangerous this actually is. Chevrier, which is a major truck route with all the businesses that are in there, they put bike lanes in there, and semis pass one another, basically almost touching their mirrors because they have shrunk that road so bad. And so they're turning into businesses like myself, who was a delivery driver, and I'm being cut off by a bicycle on my right-hand side that I cannot see when they're supposed to be stopped. Another example is on Parker Avenue going west when you turn onto Georgina. They have access for bike lanes in there, which with no stops. You have buses who are turning, who have to stop, but the cyclists don't. And half of the time, I drive through there 4 or 5 times a day, and there's almost an accident 25% of the time. Cyclists need to stop. It's as simple as that. That cars are getting bigger. If cyclists want to share the roads with us, then they need to pay the same price that we pay to be on the roads. And that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. We really appreciate your remarks. And we're getting to the end of the show, so I'm just going to forge ahead on the phone lines here. Brenda, hello.
Hi.
What have you got to say about this subject?
I agree absolutely with the last caller. I got a ticket for rolling through a stop sign, and rightly so. I deserved it. And
in your car or on your bike?
In my car.
Okay.
The cop said it was really dangerous, and I make sure I will never do that again. Bicyclists should be stopping at stop signs like a car, go when it's their turn, and also like a yield is a yield, a stop is a stop, a red light is a red light. And I see bicyclists going through red lights all the time. They will come up on my right and they will zip right through. That is highly dangerous. And, I know car drivers are not patient with bicyclists. I try to be. I try very hard to be. But when I see something like that, I think, stupid, like dangerous. Yeah.
Well, Brenda, we're going to let you have the last word there because we're at the very end of the show. But thank you very much for your thoughts. And thank you very much, Bike Mayor Patty Weens. It was very nice to have you in the studio again today. So interesting to hear all the different points of view.
Sure. Thank you for having me. But I do want to, one quick last word.
Sure.
We do pay the price. Like Mark said, we do. We pay in our property taxes and we deserve to be safe.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you to all the callers and to all the listeners at Radio Noon. It's been very nice being with you.